Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Your Average Critics. Today we're going to be talking Ghost in the Shell, both the anime and the live action remake, and we're going to be contemplating life. But before we get into all that deep subject, I just want to let you know I'm joined today by just Ollie and Obi, so there's just the three of us today.
Three amigos.
The three amigos, but we are obviously the best three people on the podcast, so, you know, I can't even remember who the other two are. So, let's start with how have your weeks been?
Yeah, it's good. I went to a comic book shop with Chris, and I spent a fair amount of money. Chris spent an obscene amount of money.
Yeah.
on comics.
What did you get?
What did I get? There's this thing called so like they bring out like runs of different DC bring out runs of like different stories of their main characters, and it's called Rebirth. And I bought out what did I buy? I bought a Teen Titans one. I bought some Justice League. I bought some X-Men as well. But yeah, I just bought a load of stuff. I spent like 20 quid. And I bought like 9 or 10 comics. So.
And how long does it take you to read a comic? Like 5 seconds?
To be fair, no, I'm a slow reader, so it probably takes me about 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
You spent 20 quid on stuff that...
Yeah, that's what, 200 minutes, isn't it? That's, how long does that mean? That's what, 2 hours and... No, wait.
3
hours. See, yeah, that's 3 hours and 20 minutes, you know? It's not too bad.
I think comic books are coming back with all this Marvel...
I just buy them because they look cool. Like, the artwork is cool, so I'm like,
But didn't you say in, like, two weeks ago or whatever, that you were trying to, like, average size of a comic book fan is something like 3,000 comics?
Yeah.
What? You were on 5?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to need to catch up to the average. I think there's a world record. I think the world record of a guy... The most comics, I think it's like 90-something thousand, like 94,000.
What?
Or something like that. Was in 2014, so he's probably got more by now.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it's madness, isn't it? But then they're worth, like, obviously if you get, like, the rare ones, they're worth loads. Like the ones that you buy.
Yeah, is that when you, like, keep them in the packaging?
Exactly,
But what's
yeah.
the point in that? Because then
that's
you can
what I was
never...
saying. The ones that you buy.
Where do you keep them? Like, I used to subscribe to some film magazines and... They just took up so much space.
Yeah.
In the end, I just had to throw them away. Like, if I had them on, like, an iPad or something, that'd be better. But then you kind of want...
Like
I want the physical.
You want the
yeah,
physical
exactly, yeah. I like having the
tangibility
physical
of it.
Yeah. I like going in there and picking it out and buying it. But yeah, it's cool.
What about you, Ollie? What's your week been like?
Week's been good. So I had a very poor experience in the cinema, and I know we talked about before that, like, we was discussing if discs and Blu-ray are going to be obsolete.
Yeah.
Do we think cinemas are going to be obsolete? Did we even discuss that? Because I went there and it's just like you're surrounded by all this like shit candy, really expensive food, and it's just not a good atmosphere to be in. But obviously, when you get immersed in the film, it's fine. But yeah, that was.
So can I ask you a question?
Piss poor.
Would you rather, obviously, have the cinemas as they are now, and obviously you go and watch the blockbusters or whatever? Or would you rather, like, say for example, Netflix or whatever, your subscription, like, I don't know, quadruples, but then the blockbusters come out on Netflix, so you don't have to go to the cinema.
No, because I quite like having the surround sound and like the huge screen.
Yeah, but it's all the waiting before that. I think that like you could do a cinema. I don't want to put loads of people out of a job, but you could do because you can do like pick up your own tickets now.
Yeah.
So everything's like self-service. So literally, you go to the cinema, you can buy like popcorn from down the road, and then like, take it in. Not that they're going to do that, but that's like my ideal. Like you just walk in, scan your ticket, or pick it up because you can book it online, and then just go see the film.
It is still like sometimes they have to like check ID and stuff like that, don't they? So that might make it take a bit.
That's
true, but I mean that's what you could do if you're doing it online. So you would have to check who's paying it and things like that.
I think they would always need a couple of people there. Because obviously technology might fail, so the booking...
Like self-checkouts?
Yeah, the self-checkout might fail.
Yeah.
Or someone's got to monitor and keep that tech up. And also things like the concession stand with the popcorn and stuff, that is how these cinemas remain open.
That's true.
That is why they're so expensive, because I don't quite know how it works, but they buy in the films, but they have to pay most of their profits back to the company.
Yeah.
That's why if a film's popular, like, I don't know, Titanic, they'll just play it forever and ever because they need the money. After a certain point, then that's their profit.
Yeah, well, I went and saw a film that had just come out, I think, this week, and the cinema was empty, pretty much. It was.
What time did you go?
Evening.
On a weekday.
Yeah, it was on a weekday.
What film was that?
That was Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
Maybe because the film's fucking shit.
Yeah, we'll discuss Ghost in the Shell.
I haven't seen it, by the way. I've seen the first 15 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Right,
we'll talk about that next week. But
we're talking about that this week.
I thought it was for Chris.
No, we're waiting for Chris for Free Fire.
Oh shit! Yeah, go on then.
So we are going to talk about Ghost in the Shell this week, both the anime and the live-action remake. But Ollie, you said you saw a trailer this week.
Boom. Yes, so I saw a trailer for Inconvenient Truth, the sequel. It's not really a sequel because it's a documentary, isn't it? But
is it called an Inconvenient Sequel or something?
Something like that, yeah. But I don't know. I love that. I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff anyway. I watched Leo's Before the Flood. I don't know if that was through National Geographic, if either of you guys saw that. But that I like watching that kind of stuff, and it makes me love and hate humanity. Yeah. Like listening to, especially the trailer, but like, you know, they give you this story of like, oh no, these are all the bad things that we're doing, but this is all the good stuff. And then they're like, the music gets a little bit louder, and they're like clapping their hands in these like huge meetings. And yeah, you know, I am a nerd for that. So that is something I'm looking forward to because that's coming out in cinemas soon.
What's the second one about? Because the first one was about global warming.
Yeah, so it's still following on, but obviously, so in the trailer, it's got clips of Donald Trump, because obviously things could be said that they're going backwards, as opposed to the direction that we were going in. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Is it in the same format as the first one? Because in the first one he was like on stage talking to people.
Yeah, it's not so much that. Oh. It's more like following him around. Like the image that I got from it was it's following him around like it was Leo, and he's meeting all these people and discussing about, you know, like what's happening, what's not happening, things like that. So
do you think it will follow the same formula as most sequels, like bigger budget, more deaths, more CGI?
More CGI, yeah.
I remember do you remember the cartoon in the first one of the frog?
The frog,
classic.
That's
the only thing I take away from that film is the frog that was it? If it jumps into hot water, it jumps up straight away.
Yeah,
but if it jumps into water and it eventually gets hotter, it won't jump or something like that. It won't jump
until someone grabs it and saves it. Yeah.
Any other film news, guys?
There's talks of a Batgirl or Batwoman. I think it's Batgirl film, and Josh Whedon is in talks to direct it.
Okay, so the guy who did the Avengers, crossing over from Marvel to DC.
I was thinking, don't you have to don't they make him sign a contract saying that you can't do any DC films? No,
I don't know.
Or you can't do any Marvel films.
I think maybe like the actors, but I think, you know, after Joss Whedon stopped directing Marvel films, he's probably fair game for
fair point
for anything really.
I was asking Chris the other day, who do you think should play Batgirl? I don't know if you've seen her depicted in any, but she's like a ginger, quite a young ginger woman.
Amy Adams. She's the only ginger actress I can think of.
I said one bar.
Or Emma Stone.
No, me and Chris was like, there's no way I want Emma Stone. I don't
get it. So what, she, like, the actress has to be ginger, or the part they're playing is ginger? Because they could just dye their hair, right?
Yeah, no, the woman, the girl's ginger.
Shailene Woodley.
I have no idea what that is.
She's been in...
Sons of Stark. Sophie Turner.
I said Sophie Turner. Yeah, that's what I said. Sophie Turner. But she's in X-Men, so...
yeah, true, but we don't know for how long. I don't know if that franchise is going to be rebooted or what.
It's being rebooted. What, you're just going to reboot the reboot?
Yeah. They're just going to keep doing that.
They did it with Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing. They said after what's this new one called? Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah. After Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever that's going to be called, Spider-Man's no longer going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Interesting.
So they're going to have to reboot it, I assume. I don't know if Tom Holland is allowed to go, you know, be in one kind of co-production and then go back to the just a pure Sony for Spider-Man film. But I think this leads nicely on to Life. So, Life, tell me about Life, Obi. How's your life? No, I'm joking. So Life is a sci-fi film with Ryan Reynolds.
Sci-fi thriller / horror, which I wasn't aware of beforehand.
Yes.
Yeah, the genre is a horror.
Very true. I wouldn't have suggested you seeing it if I'd known it was a horror, so I apologise for that. But it's got Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson. It's quite a good cast, set on the International Space Station, where they receive a probe back from Mars, and it's got a sample which has some sort of single-celled organism. And then it's
are we single-cell organisms?
I don't know.
I feel like I've heard that expression for humans before. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
I don't know.
Sorry.
We're not scientific on this. We barely can use the recording software that we record onto. I guess that's technological, not scientific. Proves again how shit I am at science. Fuck's sake. Anyway, so they kind of do experiments on this, and all goes a bit awry, and it kind of
Say the least.
turns into a kind of alien film.
Alien-esque.
As in like a Ridley Scott Alien. So, considering Obi, you hate horror films, what did you think of it?
So, we got into the cinema, and I looked at my ticket. It said live, and it said 15. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, maybe there's going to be a bit of swearing or whatever. Won't be too bad. And then I looked at the screen when the thing come up, where they give the rating before.
The BBFC Insight.
That's the one. And it says, contains gory images and violence and
strong horror.
Yeah, I was like, oh, fuck's sake. I didn't know that the film was like horror. I thought it was going to be like maybe like a 12 or But
that's the trailer. They made it sound lovey-dovey.
Exactly. Well, it didn't look like that bad when. Well, anyways, to get into the film. So, my conclusion of the film is the same as when we talked about Split, however, like 2 months ago, how long it was. It's, in my opinion, it's a good film, but it's not for me at all. Like, the genre is not for me. I don't like films like this. Like, whenever the monster Calvin... Is it Calvin?
Yeah, so they call the monster Calvin, which is something I thought was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound threatening at all, does it?
I think that's the point of it.
It's like, Calvin!
It's supposed to sound childish, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like just juxtapositions, isn't it? This thing called Calvin that could also kill you, innit?
I kind of wanted it to be more threatening.
What do you want to call it? Rex.
Like an alien.
Keith.
Keith? I don't know. Maybe like
Tyler.
Osama?
What?
That's like a threatening name.
Well, no, okay, sorry.
Why don't they call it alien? It's like in zombie films. Why don't they call them zombies? Like The Walking Dead, they call them walkers.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
Or
Yeah, I've never understood that. Someone needs to make a film that they say, "Oh my god, zombies!"
Why don't you make it? Mate?
Mate,
So-
I'm sure they do it somewhere.
Considering it isn't your sort of film, what did you actually like about it?
I'm trying to think. What did I like about it? I thought I liked the ending.
Okay, so spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers incoming. So at the end, the plan. This Calvin's already munched up like 3 people. One of the people drowned because of Calvin, and then they concoct a plan to one of Jake Gyllenhaal's character to sacrifice himself and use himself as bait for Calvin to come into the pod and then send himself off orbiting into space while Calvin devours him. And then Rebecca Ferguson's character to go back to Earth so she can like warn the people and blah 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 blah. But then I think do their pods collide? Do they collide or something hits them?
I
No?
I wasn't too sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
I think they do hit some sort of asteroid field.
Yeah, they hit something, and then
you see one go off into one direction towards Earth and one into.
And I believe that the I mean,
Did you see it coming?
Yeah, but
You did?
when you're watching it, obviously the people who make the film.
Because I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like a happy ending. It's gonna be not bad.
Yeah. But well,
so we haven't actually explained the ending yet.
Yeah, so the one pod's hurting off into space, the other pod crashes down into Earth, like survives the atmosphere and all that stuff, smashes down to the sea, and then these fishermen come towards the boat and they look inside the thing, and Jake Gyllenhaal is in the pod on Earth. Calvin hasn't devoured him yet, but he's pretty much like got him, and he's like, no, don't open the door, at which point they continue to open the door, and then Rebecca Ferguson's thing is she's hurt nothing, she's dead, she's gone up into space, so yeah, she's fucked, and Earth is fucked, so yeah, the film's fucked, so I mean, it's good opening for a sequel, to be fair. So
yeah, I don't know if I want a sequel to this.
The sequel is, have you seen Evolution?
No.
Oh, well.
Is that on with Stifler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean William Scott.
So did you think it was tense?
I thought it was bare tense. Like, I told you when I was watching it, anytime the alien came on screen, my hands started sweating. Just automatically my hands started sweating. Because, like, to me, I thought it was really scary, but then my threshold for scariness is very high compared to...
But if it makes you feel tense and kind of nervous, is that a positive thing?
Because that's what the film's supposed to do, then yes.
Okay. And what about you, Ollie? What did you think of it?
I liked it. I've got to say, it was definitely alien-esque, and if you want to see a horror film that is about being trapped on a in an enclosed space with not many people, but some like danger, then I would say see Alien, because this was kind of following on that.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of like, not behind the scenes, but a lot of like interviews with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. Because apparently they developed a bromance. Although I wish I saw like a bit more of both of their characters.
I was just
like,
talking about Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds only in it for what? Half an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again, spoiler, but Ryan Reynolds is the first one to die.
I knew that was gonna happen.
I didn't think he would actually.
The Joker, the ethnic minority or the Joker always dies first. Always. The only takes the piss. Sorry, Andy, carry on.
That's alright. No, so I enjoyed it though. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd be honest, I didn't see the ending coming. I thought they were going to tease it, and I think they did, but it was there was so much suspense that I think maybe they're gonna, trick the audience. But with that, I don't know if people would be like really outraged, because like we were talking last week about like alternative plots, endings and things like that. And I think like a happy ending for that would have been really uplifting. But because I couldn't sleep at night with the thought of Rebecca Ferguson's character, like her screaming. Yeah. Oh, that was just dreadful. But it's nice to see them out of their like comfort zone in a serious movie, because I mean it's a serious horror, as it were. And I know like, Ryan Reynolds isn't really, because obviously he's like you said the jokey character, but I mean like having a jokey character in a horror, I think they played it really well. But yeah.
Do you want a sequel to it?
No, definitely not. What would be the sequel? Just Destruction of Humanity, and then it would just be CGI and all of this rubbish.
This is why I kind of related it to Spider-Man, in my segue, because there have been talks or rumours that supposedly this is a prequel to Venom.
Oh yeah.
So Venom is like a Sony production. Life is a Sony production. Venom's obviously like one of the antagonists from the Spider-Man universe, and I guess, like an organism that is kind of symbiotic and, people were just assuming that, it could be a teaser for it. And then with the ending, so this Calvin...
He's like splurged himself over Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, it consumes every other person and every other organism on the spaceship apart from Jake Gyllenhaal. And whereas it kind of seems to, like you said, encompass around him... and I know that in Spider-Man 3, the Sam Raimi film, whenever like a bell rang, and Venom would then scream, and then you'd see Tobey Maguire underneath. So I kind of thought they definitely could kind of retrofit the storyline to include that. But then again, I was kind of like, I don't know what Calvin is. Like it starts off looking a bit like a lotus, and then a jellyfish, and then a dragon. And I was like, I don't know what... I
gotta say, I wish they had stuck with some sort of like... Because they were talking about it's a single cell, or like loads of single cell organisms as one. But the fact that they eventually gave it a face... I didn't really like, because I know like Alien has a face, but his face is like shit scary, because it's got like a little mouth that comes out and like, spits acid, like his blood is acid. And he's like... He's black, so he's like in the dark. And because all the lights go off, so you never know where he is. But this thing was just like floating around, and I kind of wish, because it was like a jellyfish or like a starfish at point, and I think that's more just, it's just like, I don't know, like clenching my arse thinking about it, like you're just being eaten alive by this horrific thing, but it doesn't have a face. Because if it has a face, like you can like curse at it, you can like shout at it.
I was saying,
make you feel better. Look into its soul and be like, "Fuck you."
I was saying, a possible ending that I thought they could have done was because they said it was loads of you just reminded me of that when you said it, because it was loads of single cell organisms, or whatever, like, and they all had a brain or something like that. I thought maybe there was a part in the film where Rebecca Ferguson like cut herself.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe a bit of Calvin would get like...
in her?
Yeah, or something. Like, he would get like chopped off or something like that. So like the main body of Calvin goes off with Jake Gyllenhaal into the space, but then a little bit of organism follows Rebecca Ferguson's blood or something like that, and then it gets attached to her. And then I thought maybe they would have done something like that, but obviously they didn't. So
I don't even think he could get hurt. Like
No.
Like they had a flamethrower, and I gotta say, I don't know if that must have annoyed you. Why someone would do that?
Having a
so
flamethrower in
angry.
an enclosed space with
so
zero
angry.
gravity
Can we
in
have
a vacuum.
Can we have a quick chat about people being stupid in this film? So
I know we're not scientists, but these motherfuckers, like, obviously weren't following protocol.
Right.
And the people who wrote it to him obviously aren't scientists either.
I can't stand when people are brave for no reason. So so one, if I'm Ryan Reynolds' character, I can't remember their names. If I'm Ryan Reynolds' character and I see Hugh, I think his name's Hugh, after he's got his hand
Yeah, his hand mangled.
That was hilarious, by the way. When his hand was all fucked up, and he said the thing, I am not going into that pod to rescue him whilst the thing's in there. And like, I might have gone in whilst he was devouring the mouse, because then he was preoccupied, and then you could have got him out. But I wouldn't have gone in there. Secondly, when he does go in there and gets him out, and the thing's attached to his leg, and what's he do? He like zaps it with something, and it comes off. As soon as the thing's off your leg, get out of the pod.
He runs into the corner, doesn't he? He just stays there.
And then you're spending so much time and fuel trying to burn this thing. You should have realised after like two or three that it's not going to get burnt. So and then it hid in the cupboard thing. As soon as it's in the cupboard, get out the fucking door. Oh, it annoyed me. So that annoyed me. Really stupid of Ryan Reynolds.
That would have been the end of the film.
True.
Like they're just like, okay, let's send that lab off into space.
This is it. For plot reasons, obviously the film can't be like that. But in a real life situation, I feel like that what Ryan Reynolds did was a stupid move. Secondly, Hugh, I'm assuming his name's Hugh, the black guy.
Yeah, I think that's right.
When the thing's attached to his leg, and it's munching on his leg, and he doesn't tell anyone.
No, it's because I'm pretty sure he was disabled, so he couldn't feel his leg.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that makes sense now. Thank you. Okay, I'm not gonna. I won't talk about that then. Okay, thank you.
No, I thought about that because I was like, hang about, and at the end, I realised again that because he was talking about a wheelchair and he
cool.
Really
that
thin
makes,
legs.
that makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been like.
I was thinking like douchebag. I just thought he was like
sacrificing himself.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
His, like experiment.
That makes sense now. Okay, fair enough. Cheers.
See, initially I thought that he was allowing the alien to munch on his leg because he was close to death, and that if he died, then maybe the alien would die because of being part of him. I don't know. But in terms of Jake Gyllenhaal, I think his name's David Jordan in the film. At the end, when like he's the only one who doesn't actually get eaten or killed by the thing, I sort of read that as because earlier in the film he's been in space for like 400 days or something, and I thought maybe he's more of like a hybrid between like a human and he's so used to space that maybe he's more of a capsule or a like a host. A good
I know
host.
what you mean. I know what you mean. I thought they were going to give more to that because they were saying about how he'd been in space for so long. I thought maybe they were going to give a bit more.
That's the thing, right? So this film is probably just over an hour and a half. It's really, really lean in terms of like there is hardly any bullshit in it. Like within the first 5 minutes, they find the alien and they reanimate it. Like that's day 2 of the mission. Normally in a film there'd be a lot longer build up, and then they start experimenting on it for very quickly, and then very quickly things go south. And there is minimal plot, minimal character development. And I was thinking, in terms of the film on those levels, like things happening quite quickly and kind of glossing over the characters, does that work?
I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it at the point.
But then,
I mean, the idea of that film was to have the suspense.
But then, do you empathise with any of the characters? Are you kind of like, oh god, David Jordan might die?
The only person that empathised with was two of them was, just one actually, the woman who drowned.
Okay, and why did you empathise with her more than...
Because she did something brave, sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
See, I kind of felt bad for the Japanese character.
Oh, I was going to say...
that's because you see him, like, have a daughter and things like that.
Was it not so obvious? As soon as the daughter was born, like, you're dying. Like, as soon as the daughter was born, I was like, you're not making this, you're not making it back home.
But then that is like a character that is, like, developing his character.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of humanity to him, whereas the rest of them, like, you don't really know... Apart from like a little bit of subtitles that come up saying David Jordan, Doctor of whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. He briefly said he was in the army, but I don't know anything much about Ryan Reynolds' character.
He's a plumber.
A plumber. Rebecca Ferguson's character. I mean, there was that storybook. So one of the plot points is a storybook that I think they give to the Japanese character to read to his daughter. And then right at the end, between Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson, he says like, "Good night, moon. Good night, stars." And I was just like, this sounds really silly, but obviously he's quoting from the book. But then it had no poignancy to it because they hadn't explored the meaning of that book like further. Like if they'd said,
it gave him the idea, innit? For
yeah, but if they'd said like, "Oh, you know, I read this as a kid, and you know, it meant a lot to me," then at the end it'd be more poignant. But I just kind of, I kind of laughed at that point. I was like, this is a bit cheesy.
No, I agree.
Any more thoughts on life?
One thing that I did like, so as I said, like I was watching a lot of the behind the scenes of like interviews, and they were talking about the big one shot, which is like where they do one consecutive scene, so they've all got to do like train for their like what they're doing and the acting, which I did enjoy. I thought they were good, but I thought they could have easily been like CGI'd or not one shots and just loads of little ones.
So you're talking about one take?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like it when films do that, and especially when they do it well. So The Revenant did that quite a lot. But also in True Detective, there was a big one shot, which was something like 7 minutes long. And that was like... That must be tough to do, because if you fuck that over, you're screwing over everyone.
Yeah. Has anyone ever seen Atonement?
No.
The beginning of that, I think it's something like 10 minutes long, is an entire one
shot.
one take. And there are also films now which are presented as all one shot. So Birdman is on paper all one take, even though they use editing, but there's no obvious edits apart from I think one. And then there's another film, some horror film with Elizabeth Olsen in, that is presented as one entire continuous shot. So, but like you said, if they actually did not edit that at all, then that's quite impressive. Considering, they must have like a lot of wire work and
and because obviously the camera was going upside down, left, right, and centre. But I do enjoy that.
I mean,
that shows like actual like acting.
Yeah.
Because I think in a lot of films recently, you kind of feel that you're getting mugged off. Like they're getting these ridiculous salaries, and they might be on screen for a really short while. And when they're on screen, they're surrounded by green screen, or they like literally have a one-liner joke, and then that's them for like the next hour, and then they come in again.
Yeah, they're like, that's my £1 million.
Yeah, it's things like that. So I think this actually gives that kind of depth. I mean, I think the cast were really well, like acting very well anyway, because obviously they're like in this shitstorm of a situation. And I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. Really am.
I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Was it last week?
Yeah, I was saying he's underrated.
Favourite Jake Gyllenhaal film? Last week we said favourite DiCaprio film. This week favourite Gyllenhaal film.
I don't know, because I saw Nightcrawler as well that he does.
Oh, that's good.
And he's essentially like a psycho in that.
I don't know if I've seen him.
Trying to find ratings for his news channel.
So he goes and documents crime scenes, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think that is a really good performance from him, especially because obviously you see him, because like we were saying about, I think like Ben Affleck, or even going back ages ago, we were talking about Vince Vaughn playing his serious role in Hacksaw Ridge, whereas he's usually he is Average Joe from Average Joes, and Jake Gyllenhaal, there's nothing really that stands out about him, but he's in a lot of films that have like quite unique characteristics and personalities, so like Jarhead and Nightcrawler as well.
Have you seen Enemy? Oh, that's a really good film.
Yeah.
He plays a doppelganger version of himself as well. I think he's an underrated actor because he tends to stick to like indie films.
Yeah.
So obviously like Donnie Darko is going to be my favourite Gyllenhaal performance. But yeah, he kind of shuns big blockbusters, I think. Maybe he's been burned by like Prince of Persia and things like that. But I mean,
they've all done their low blows, haven't they? They've all done their...
I really like him as an actor, and I think he always looks sad. Don't you think his eyes are quite sad?
It reminds me of Mr. Shu from Glue.
I don't know who that is, but I shall take your word for it.
Yeah. Do you think it would like him as a happy role then?
I don't know. I just want him to be happy. I just hope that
Jake, why aren't you happy?
Jake, man, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here for you, man. So in conclusion, I think Life. Please let me know if you disagree. I think it was good, but it kind of didn't do anything different. It just kind of on a level. It was just pretty solid. Doesn't progress the genre. Didn't have much in terms of surprise. We all saw the ending coming. Acting was solid, but again, not like that memorable for me.
Yeah.
And I think even like you said, the directing was quite cool with the one take. But
so what would you rate it?
Probably give it like a 6.
6. So I'd say at least 7.5.
7.5.
I'd say go see it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd recommend seeing it, but
I'll give it a 7.
You give it a 7.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so the other big film that we've watched this week is Ghost in the Shell. But before we go into the live action remake, we're gonna now do every week a new segment, which we're calling From the Archive. So we're all going to every week one of us is going to take a film that we've seen from our DVD collection, or like an older film that's not current in the cinemas. So our criteria is it has to be on DVD or video on demand or shown on television. And so we thought, why not start it off with the anime of Ghost in the Shell, which I watched this week. Because we've all seen heavily trailers for Ghost in the Shell, the live action remake.
I'm so sick.
When I first saw that trailer, I thought, this was quite good. And then the 95th time I saw the trailer, I was sick to fucking death of it.
Honestly, I'm so sick of it, man.
So I didn't really know what to expect going into the anime, because obviously I hate reviews because it's like, this is the best anime ever, and then evidently you get disappointed. But I'd heard that the visuals of the anime were beautiful and that, it was considered one of the best animes. And to be honest, I really enjoyed it. So the anime is about a cybernetic human known as Major. So she has a robotic body but a human mind, and she works for Section 9, which is like a government sort of agency, and she's tasked with finding a hacker called the Puppet Master. So essentially, this is a world where pretty much everyone can be cyber enhanced, and this Puppet Master has found a way of hacking people with their cybernetic bodies and their minds, and he basically is trying to hack into like military secrets and stuff. And so she pursues him, and in summary, it's a film about identity and humanity, which I really didn't quite expect. It was quite a deep film on that level, which from the very few animes I've seen, it seems to be quite a recurring theme. They tend to be quite kind of deep on that level. Whereas in comparison to the trailers, at least that I'd seen of the live action remake, it was just kind of like your generic shoot 'em up. So I was quite pleasantly surprised with that. It wasn't. There was action in it, but I think the predominant theme and what you should take out of it was kind of the meaning behind it. And again, to spoil the ending of the anime, I don't know if you.
No, go ahead.
So she ends up Major meeting the Puppet Master by kind of trying to hack into him. Anyway, they have a conversation, and he says that he wants to join her in her shell. So the body is known as the shell, and the mind is known as the ghost, hence Ghost in the Shell. And he says that, he wants to feel what it's like to be human and to, know humanity and reproduction and things like that, because he was saying, like, I'm not going to be on this earth much longer, but I've never felt anything really human, because he's just a virus or some sort of computer code. And on that level, it was quite deep. I was like, oh, I didn't expect this. Like, as a robot or a piece of code, he was sort of contemplating humanity, even though most humans are now 90% robot.
Was he an actual robot, or was he a human that turned into a robot? I
think he was just some sort of piece of code. He was like a project. I don't think he ever had a human mind or consciousness. I think he became sentient out of being developed.
Okay.
I mean, he does at one point have a physical body, but that's because he has transferred his consciousness into that body.
What about Major? Like, does she have a heart? Does she have a brain?
She has a brain. She has a human brain. But her body's basically all constructed like robotic. So yeah, again, it's kind of like how much humanity can you retain whilst you're a robot. And so, Ollie, you and I have both seen the live-action remake.
So it sounds very similar to the anime.
It is very similar. And there are set pieces within the film that mirror the anime. So the anime is beautifully drawn.
Yeah.
It really is visually stunning for an animated film. And again, like, it's quite light on character development, but again, it's not really about the characters, it's about the overarching themes. Whereas, and again, we're probably going to be spoiling the live action remake of Ghost in the Shell, but the themes from that were more family and kind of self-identity. It was more about Major, like Scarlett Johansson's character, than the themes itself. So they give her more of a backstory, they give her like a motivation for wanting to find what's his name, the guy played by Michael Pitt, the one who says "You are a beauty," but I can't remember his name. But anyway, so tell us about the live action remake of Ghost in the Shell.
So it's relatively similar as what you said for the anime. So there are twists and turns about halfway through the film, but again, it's really about it's her trying to find herself within this, because obviously, as Glenn said, you're in a constructed body, and you essentially trusting the people around you. Because I always think in those sorts of films, like if you've seen RoboCop, that especially for the most recent RoboCop, like they reduce the activity of the brain so much, or they enhance the body so much that you don't really know where one ends and one begins. But in RoboCop, they do it to such an extent that he is mostly robot, because obviously he's like fighting. He's like, no, let me control the body, but they're like, you're not doing your job properly. And he eventually ends up investigating his own, not murder because he's not dead, but his what's the word? His assault, I guess. So yeah, I enjoyed the film, I gotta say, visually as well. But when I was first watching it, I first started getting into it. For the first 5 minutes, I was like, I really don't want to like this film. For some reason, I don't know why. I know
you've seen the trailer like 12 times.
True, and it did just seem like it was just gonna be like fighting for the whole thing. But I love the sci-fi aspect. So it reminded me a lot of Total Recall, actually, like with the robotic enhancements for humans. But I gotta say, if in a world like that, I don't think I want to live where you don't know the difference between who's robot and who's human, because that is just eerie for me. I think because it's all like it's an urban jungle, because it is in the city. And I think that's the way we're going anyway. But I don't want to be in that kind of society. And it's just scary, man. I mean, some of the things aren't far off. This guy, he essentially gets replacement for his eyes. And he can like X-ray and things like that. And like nowadays, that's not far off. You can like search the internet with your glasses, and you can get modifications. You can see, you can hear. So it is an amazing thing, but I think if you're able to, it's a bit, why would you enhance yourself?
Yeah. I think, like you're picking up on your point about the visual effects, they were
amazing,
stunning, weren't they? Like even from the trailer and the 15-minute footage that we saw before Free Fire, you can tell the visuals are really, really good. I went into it and I thought I was going to hate it. So to give you guys context, we saw Free Fire earlier in the week, and included with the film was 15 minutes of bonus footage of another film, and we were all like, "Oh my god, what's it going to be? Is it going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy, or is it going to be?" You know, we were like hyped for it, and then not only did we see the trailer for Ghost in the Shell, but then the 15 minutes of footage turned out to be Ghost in the Shell.
Do you know how angry I was?
And literally,
I was so disappointed.
Obi was just like, "For fuck's sake!"
I was so disappointed when that came up on the screen.
So anyway, this footage was supposed to be in 3D, and we were given 3D glasses for it. The 3D did not work.
No, it was like Did you watch it in 3D?
No, I watched it in 2D.
No.
Oh, okay.
But
I was gonna say, was it good? Was it better in the actual film?
Even when we had our glasses on, the image was separated because you know, like 3D, they shoot it twice and they overlay the image. But yeah, it just looked terrible. I couldn't understand a single thing that was going on, and I threw my glasses down in disgust.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And it was just awful. And I was like, I really don't want to see this film, but I've seen the anime now, so I might as well go and watch it. And to be honest, it was better than I thought it would be. Again, I really enjoyed the visuals.
What do you think about the controversy about Scarlett Johansson playing the...
So the whitewashing.
Yeah.
I think it is such a shame that they feel that they need to cast someone.
Because of her mum.
Well, yeah. Okay, so part of the film is... Right, so Scarlett Johansson's character plays Major, and it basically follows a similar plot to the anime, but there's a figure who hacks and kills some Hanker employees, and Hanker Robotics is the company that basically builds all these cybernetic people. So this person is killing all these people, trying to find information about a project. The difference between the animation is that the person kind of kills the employees, like that isn't really a part of the anime, and also he's given a physical body, and then he kind of uncovers the fact that Scarlett Johansson's memories that she keeps getting glitches of memory, and it turns out that they're false, and that they've actually there's a sort of hidden agenda. Anyway, long story short, turns out that the main guy Cutter, who's the main villain of the piece, he has been taking kind of runaway children and kind of destroying their bodies and keeping their minds to develop them into kind of weapons. So the live action remake gives more character development, kind of expands the plot, which kind of works and it doesn't. I kind of appreciate what they're trying to do, because obviously American kind of overarching themes is like family, and they have to build that, and obviously there's got to be some sort of governmental corruption in there. That's just standard. So I kind of treat the anime and the live action separate, because whilst they're quite similar in a lot of respects, that the remake expands, and therefore in a lot of respects you can't really compare it too much. I obviously prefer the anime, but I didn't.
Do you think
I didn't think it was too bad.
Did you think she did justice to the role though?
I think she was all right. Yeah, I don't know who else I would have seen in that role.
Well, it doesn't have to be someone named, but I think someone else could have
probably
just as well have played that role. And I think actually having her do it. I mean, I saw an extract of the original writer of Ghost in the Shell saying that yes, Scarlett Johansson was the best person for it, and I don't know, maybe they because maybe they love Scarlett. Everyone people love Scarlett Johansson because they were like, oh, she's like a global figure. But I think in the reality of the world that it was set in, she probably wouldn't have been ideal.
No, well, because that's the thing. So part of the backstory they give her is that
it's in Tokyo, right?
She thinks that her family are immigrants and that they were destroyed on the boat coming over. And then she goes and finds out that her family's still alive, and she goes and meets her mother, but the mother is a Japanese lady, but whereas Scarlett Johansson is,
So
is obviously Caucasian, which I guess is what you were kind of elaborating on in terms of why is her mother Japanese?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know she's at there's
don't see
no
the
mention,
dad.
but it's her shell.
That's what I was going to say.
But I'm like, yeah, but why would you make a shell in the form of Scarlett Johansson unless they're all in that case they should all be uniform?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean, and it is a shame because Hanka is a Japanese company, whereas 95% of the employees there are Caucasian. What really annoys me as well is the main the head of Section 9 is a Japanese man, and he speaks entirely in Japanese, but all of the other characters respond to him in English. So he says, his piece in Japanese, and they go, "Yeah, mate, cheers, no worries." And I'm like, I hate that in films, and it happens so often. You have a character who is
like they're playing the
foreign,
diversity card, tick it off.
so they're Russian or German or French, whatever, and they speak in their native tongue, and people respond to them in English. Why would you do that? It's so annoying. Like, it is a film based on Japanese property, set in Japan, with the head of the section who is Japanese. Why don't you just get the characters to speak Japanese? Even if you're not casting like Japanese or Asian actors, get Scarlett Johansson to speak Japanese.
Bit, yeah.
It's just show them a little bit of respect. I'm not saying have the entire film in Japanese, but in those interactions, have it Japanese. Maybe a bit more authentic. I'm sure there are Asian actresses and actors that could have done just as well. I know, like Chris mentioned a few weeks ago, that, maybe the star power, the global star power of these people is more, but how are Asian actors ever going to become global stars if they're not shown in, apart from token roles in Hollywood films?
Kung Fu Panda 3 was I think one of the first films, especially animated, and it was done in both English and Mandarin.
But did you have Jack Black speaking Mandarin?
I don't think it was Jack Black, but that would have been great.
Yeah. But even like the Great Wall, which, did you see that?
I haven't seen it. No.
Matt Damon,
China.
Matt Damon, an American, and considering America as an actual country has only been around since the 1800s, whereas China is probably the most ancient civilization in the world. But obviously, they still need the Americans to come and save them.
Have you seen that film then?
No. But I just know it's going to be horrendously offensive. Yeah.
About the film. So like 2 questions, or 3 maybe. Does Scarlett Johansson's character fight a lot in the film?
A fair bit.
A fair bit, yeah.
When she's fighting, is she like visible?
She's visible for a lot of it, yeah.
I was going to say, because in the 15 minutes I saw, she managed to turn herself invisible. So I was thinking, if you're fighting people, just be invisible the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Fair point. Yeah.
I don't quite know how that works, because there are points in the film where characters are talking and then they kind of dematerialise.
Yeah. So it's like a hologram.
Yeah, but there's a point though when Scarlett Johansson is talking to a prisoner and she dematerialises herself out of the cell and then she walks back into the cell. And I was like, why did you do that? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's just to sort of show off the visuals, like, hey, look how cool this is.
Fair enough.
I just want to say I know you've got another question maybe.
No.
Oh, you don't. But there's a point, so another difference between the anime and the live action is in the anime, when Major's body is destroyed at the end with the tank, she has to have a new body.
Okay.
So they put her into another.
Yeah.
So basically, in the anime, dead bodies are given new minds, whereas in the live action, the body is sort of created, kind of with 3D printing.
Okay.
So obviously when Major gets destroyed a few times, they just rebuild her same body. And I guess that's the difference between having animation and live action, is you don't want to keep recasting the main character. So I can understand why they did that. I thought it was a solid effort. Again, it was pretty average.
Some of the things were relatively realistic, which I did like. So example is towards the end when she's pulling the battery, like her arm starts tearing, and I like that.
That happens in the anime.
Yeah. But there was one part where she jumps off a building. So she's going down the side of a building, and yet somehow comes through the window, and I think that's from the outside, right?
Yeah.
And I logistically, how does that work? Because they were on the 41st floor, and how did he fall off a building and then automatically go to 90 degrees?
I don't know. She must have fallen in some sort of arc.
Yeah. That bugged me. That really bugged me. I got to
The
say.
physics of this film.
Yeah. Ugh.
We're talking about Japanese films. I saw the Japanese version of The Grudge the other day.
What was that?
What's The Grudge?
So The Grudge is a horror film about basically a grudge. Well, so the Japanese title is Ju-on, The Grudge. Essentially, I think it's like a mythical sort of spirit that is born out of a really hateful, horrible act. So essentially, this little kid sees his mum murdered in front of him by his dad, and then he becomes this vengeful spirit, and then the house then becomes haunted, and people that live there kind of encounter him and then become kind of vengeful themselves. It was actually quite intense. Like, I've seen the American one and it was alright, but this one was quite atmospheric. Again,
is this the original?
Yeah. So again, like, it was quite quick to get into all the action. So within the first 5 minutes, like, you're seeing jump scares and things like that. So again, like, I quite liked that. There's no bullshit. It was just, you would have fucking hated it.
Yeah.
You literally would have hated it. But it was kind of, I can't really remember much of the American remake, but it was kind of episodic. So there was different segments of people that it focused on, and they all, it kind of interconnects. But yeah, it was basically just an hour and a half of just horror and jump scares. There was, a bit of plot. It didn't make awful lot of sense. Like, jumped around a bit, but in terms of just pure,
Recommend it? Should we go see it? If you like horrors?
I think you would. I think, yeah. If you're a horror fan, you should watch it. I mean, obviously it's subtitled, but
Do you ever find yourself though just reading the subtitles and not actually focusing on what's going on?
No, because in horror films, I don't think the dialogue matters too much. It's more about the atmosphere.
Okay, but what if it was in a film like Ghost in the Shell that we were discussing, that is all about visuals, but you were saying that it should be in Japanese, which means it would be the subtitles. Would you then?
No, because I think we can read quite quickly, and I think in terms of subtitles, they're quite good at keeping what's on screen quite concise. So I think it'll be fine. Because we watched Silent Voice, and we weren't. I wouldn't say we're distracted by the subtitles too much.
I mean, yeah, but if you're like in an action moment, a fast moving moment, and you're talking, and you're having to read subtitles, then that might take you away from the.
Just have one eye on the subtitles and one eye on the rest of the screen.
Yeah.
I also saw another subtitled horror film called Under the Shadow. So it's
why do you watch horror films so much?
Because I love horror films.
Why?
Because
he likes to be scared.
I want to push myself to see what
Why?
Why not? I'm becoming a more advanced human being. No, I'm not really. I wish. But
you're dead inside, Glenn. That's why you're watching these things.
See if you can feel something.
So, Under the Shadow is a British-Iranian film. I think it's in Arabic or maybe Farsi. I'm not quite sure. But it's set in the backdrop of the Iran-Iraq War in the 80s, and it follows a family, a father, mother, and daughter, and the mother tries to go back to university once they've been reopened, like after the Iranian Revolution, but because she was politically active, they won't let her back. Anyways, and her husband gets conscripted into the army because he's a doctor, and then so she's left alone in this apartment block with basically other families, most of whom are just the mother and child left, and then her daughter starts saying that she can see this thing called a jinn, which is some sort of Middle Eastern demon, and she believes it's taken her favourite doll, and whilst all this is happening, like, bombs are going off, and and the mother's like, we need to leave, and she's like, I'm not leaving without the doll. Anyway, so the first half is kind of slow, scene setting, and it's one of those classic films where one person believes in the demon, and the other people are like naysayers. And then slowly but surely, like, weird things start happening, and the mother starts believing that she's
Burn the doll. As soon as you get that.
Well, she can't
Get that
find
gut
it.
feeling.
Mm.
She can't
But-
find it.
It was a really, really good film. I wasn't expecting. Well, I'd never really heard of it, but it was quite a jumpy film. The tension was good. It wasn't boring. It was quite an engaging film, and even like the politics were quite interesting as well, because there's a part where the mother flees with her daughter outside, but she's not wearing her headscarf, and she gets stopped by the police, and then they arrest her, and they're like, "How dare you? You should be ashamed of yourself being outside without your..."
This doesn't sound like a horror. This sounds like a, I don't know, like a drama, really.
Well, there are elements of horror in it, but I think that the politics of it are interesting. Because obviously you're kind of like, you're running for your life, but you know the thing that people are most concerned about is the fact that she's not wearing, she's showing her hair or something. So I thought it was really, if you like horror, this isn't for you, Obi, but maybe for you, Ollie. Like it was a really good film. I would recommend it. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna watch it, but fair enough.
Okay, well then, what have you watched?
I watched The Dark Knight Returns, Part 1.
So what's that?
It's a DC animated film, Batman film. I'm not sure. It's supposed to take place between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
In between that period of time. So it's been, I think Batman has like hung up his cape, so to speak, and it's been like 10 years or something like that since he was last spotted. So he's like an old man. Still wedged though. Like it annoys me how they portray the superheroes to be in these animated films, because like comparative to the other characters in the film, Batman must be at least like 10 feet tall and about 6 feet wide. But anyway, so he's retired. He's trying to fill his life with some sort of excitement now that he's not able to beat people up.
Oh, but as a billionaire, that must be hard.
Well, it starts with him on a racetrack, so he's like NASCAR or whatever it's called, and he's like driving really, really fast, like dangerously fast, and there's someone on his communication support or whatever. They're saying like, you need to slow down. They're like, I'm putting on manual override or stuff like that, and then he just like says like, oh fuck this sort of thing, and punches through the screen, rips out loads of wires, and suddenly he gets all the power back, and he just starts speeding up in the car, sets on fire, and he does like loads of top wars, but he makes it out alive, so it's all cool. Anyway, Commissioner Gordon is about to retire. I think he's like 70 or something. The Joker's in a mental asylum, as is Harvey Dent.
Same one? Arkham Asylum?
Same one, yeah. I don't know, probably Arkham Asylum, I think it is, yeah. So yeah, the Joker's like sedated and like he's like gone, like no one there. So they do like Harvey Dent, like they fix his face, because obviously his face gets fucked up in Dark Knight, yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, your face is normal now, we've managed to make all sides the same, da 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 da. So then he goes up to the press and says, oh, I'm sorry for what I've done, blah blah blah. Then he disappears. So then Batman's having all these nightmares, because basically he wants to get back out in the action. So he basically decides to put his cape back on and starts fucking people up again. And then he's going after these people called the Mutants or something like that, because they've been terrorising the city for like the past 10 years, because Batman's not been around to stop them. So he goes after them, fucks them up, saves this girl called Carrie Kelly, who goes home and is inspired to become the next Robin. I don't know. Oh, in this universe, Batman and Dick Grayson don't speak, and Jason Todd is dead. So that's the first Robin and the second Robin. They're both out of commission. So yeah, this girl called Carrie Kelly goes out and tries to save people, and at this point I'm just like, obviously it's a cartoon, but I'm just like, this is silly. But and then yeah, she ends up saving Batman's life, and Batman takes her in. It's like, oh yeah, you're gonna be my next Robin. Blah 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 blah.
Third time lucky.
Yeah, literally hopefully third time lucky. But yeah, they fight. They defeat the mutants. It's not that long. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes. But yeah, it's the way it ends is they're like, people are on the TV like debating whether or not Batman's existence is good or not, like the whole vigilante blah 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 versus the law thing, and it gets played in the asylum, and the Joker hears the word Batman, and he just says like, Batman, and he goes like, hello my darling, and starts laughing in his weird Joker voice, and you see like his smile like
come back.
Smile come back. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a part 2. I'm assuming part 2 is much more like got Joker in it and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be better than part 1. Part 1 was okay, but yeah, it was alright.
What do you think of like animated versions of films? Like, is it part of the canon in terms of like, do we take it as, is each Batman animated film separate?
I think it shouldn't be taken as canon because a lot less people watch it.
Okay.
Because like, if for example, if in the animated, let's say Commissioner Gordon dies, and then we watch Dark Knight Rises and Commissioner Gordon's dead, we're gonna be like, what? when did that happen? Sort of thing.
True.
Well, a lot of people won't be, but more people will be because.
So you're going to be updating us on the second one?
Yeah, I'll watch the second one this week at some point, and I'll let you know what happens.
I think it's good to have animation because they have that with like Star Wars, didn't they? Like Clone Wars or something like that. Because I guess you can quickly and
you get more
fairly cheap. Yeah, more freedom. I guess you can produce them fairly quickly and I guess cheaply.
I think the budget for this was like $3 million.
Yeah, and then you can explore like different storylines within it, and then maybe I guess all the big ones just end up on the on the big screen.
I like it as well because on the so in Logan he's like he gets the comic that she has and he's like barely any of this actually happened, and I like that kind of like teasing it so it is literally like a comic just made out for a bit of profit. So I gotta say though, I do love animated like superhero movies.
Yeah, I've only ever seen The Killing Joke, but
it's better than The Killing Joke.
I've heard,
it's better.
I've heard there are quite a few good ones, like, especially in the DC universe.
Yeah, DC do the better ones, I think.
Have you ever seen any Marvel ones?
I've seen I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
It wasn't very good. So, yeah.
You've also taken a big step this week.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
He's done it.
I watched Lord of the Rings, the first one, Fellowship of the Ring. So, before I watched it, I was like, okay, let me see how long it is. Thinking, maybe it's gonna be like I thought they were gonna be like reasonable length. Let's say reasonable length.
I don't understand why you thought.
I don't know because I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be like kind of like Harry Potter. First Harry Potter was like an hour and a half, hour 45. And then it progressively gets longer as you go through the films. So I thought, okay, first of all, the Ring's gonna be like say hour 45. Second one's gonna be 2 hours and a bit. Third one's gonna be 3. I knew the third one was really long.
No, mate, you mean to go on.
It's gonna be 3 hours. The first one is the theatrical cut is almost 3 hours long. The extended cut is what? 3 hours and 48 minutes or something like that. Which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Did you watch the theatrical or the extended?
No, I watched the theatrical. Imagine watch the extended cut. Jesus Christ.
I told you it would take you about 9 days to watch it.
When you said they were long, I didn't even know that.
No, I literally said they were like 3 hours long, man.
Honestly, so the first one, so I watched, tried to watch it on Friday night, watched 5 minutes, fell asleep. Watched it on Saturday night. I got an hour and probably about 15 minutes in, fell asleep. And I woke up around about the 2 hour mark, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this? And where the hell are they?" So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep." And I finished watching the rest of it this morning. So I've watched it in 2 parts basically.
And what's your verdict?
It's all right, I'm not because I thought I'm gonna hate this. I mean, it was decent enough to keep me engaged, but it doesn't make me really like. I'm not planning to watch the second one.
What is it about it that doesn't float your boat?
There's nothing in particular about it. It's just.
Is it your expectation? Because you say you expected it to be or to not enjoy it, but you did end up enjoying it. And I know that when we've just talked about it, when you have an expectation of something being really good, you end up not liking it as much as you first anticipated. So do you think that has anything to do with it?
Maybe, probably. I don't know. I just, like it's not amazing. Like, it's okay. Like, it's a solid. Probably a 7. It's alright.
What about the
7
soundtrack?
out of 7 out of 7.
What about the soundtrack? Because that's Ollie something you said that you like most about it, right?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah,
there was a few. I would say there was a few, maybe 2 or 3 moments in it. I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. So there was the bit where they fought the orcs for the first time.
The goblins. Where's Mario?
Yeah, them ones. And the bit where Gandalf was like, "You shall not pass," and then he died. That was pretty cool. Oh, spoilers. Gandalf dies. And the bit where Ned Stark, I don't know his name.
Boromir.
Yeah. Where he starts going.
One does not simply.
Yeah. When he starts going after Frodo, like trying to get the ring. I just thought that was hilarious.
See, so I've read the books as well, and you probably wouldn't have a good time reading them because obviously that's. But in the books they do talk about like that segment. Obviously, a lot of the film, but that is one bit that always sticks out that I remember in the books because it's literally just how I imagined it. So it's something that I really enjoy about both of them. Both because often with books and films, sometimes you get collaborations that having a book and then it coming out on film, it kind of ruins the imagination that you initially had.
Yeah.
And so it is sometimes good that they don't always stick to everything exactly and they don't do the whole storyline, even though sometimes you wish they did. But yeah, sorry.
Are there any points of the book that they don't include or that you feel they don't do it justice?
Yeah, there are a number, but I can't name them all for you. But I would say.
What's better, the films or the books?
I'm always a film person, and especially for Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old are like Frodo and them lot? How old are they? Supposed to be in the film.
Supposed to be in the films.
Yeah, like roughly.
20s, 30s.
Really? Interesting.
Frodo, yeah.
Well, because like they act like children. like maybe not Frodo, but not Sam, but the other two.
Merry and Pippin.
Yeah, they act like children.
Yeah. So it's because of their like bloodline, because they're from a Took, which means they're like adventurous.
Okay.
So later on, they talk about in The Hobbit. Gandalf says talking to Bilbo, he's like, "Yeah, but I'm a Baggins," and then Gandalf's like, "Yeah, but you're also a Took, which means that you should be like more adventurous and go out and explore." And obviously, as well, a little bit dim-witted.
Yeah. They seem a bit silly. And Elijah Wood looks about 12.
Yeah, he does. He is not aged, mate. He still looks about 12.
He was like 20 when they filmed that, I think, and he looks so young. I'm just like, bloody hell.
Good cast.
Yeah, no, it was decent.
Viggo Mortensen.
You know, Legolas and all that lot. You know, it was alright. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like they should have followed Ned Stark. Whatever Ned Stark wanted to do, they should be like, okay.
Yeah.
If he said give me the ring, should have given him the ring.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. But yeah, it was okay. Might watch the second one, probably not for a while. But
It will take you a while to watch it.
Yeah, that's the thing, because imagine that the extended cut of the third one is like, what, 4.5 hours? Yeah. Something like that.
Oh
Who the hell
God.
would go to watch a 4.5 hour film in one sitting?
Well, the people do marathons of these.
That's
like
mental.
they go to the cinema and watch all of them back to back.
Hello.
Have you done that?
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God.
don't go to the cinema, but look, it's here. It's here. We're in my room, and there is all the extended cut and The Hobbit.
I couldn't do that,
Dear
honestly.
me,
But yeah, it was alright. It was decent.
That's an entire weekend.
That is. I tell you what. So a few years back, New Year's Day, they had Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. Straight after that, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. And then again, I was like, yes, this is the best way to start a new year.
Oh my God.
Love it.
That'll take you the rest of the year. Alright, tell us about what you've been watching this week. Like
So started off with, last week I said that I was going to watch Ace Ventura 2.
Yep.
So I quickly caught up on that.
Any sharks?
No sharks, thankfully. But I think it's a film that should always remain as just a standalone film, because it was like a funny film that, you know, was very unique. But I know we always say that sequels don't do justice, and I think that actually they definitely should have stuck with the original pet detective story of Ace Ventura. But I got to say, you know, love Jim Carrey's character, classic. So enjoyed that.
Surely that sort of film's due a reboot, right?
Do you reckon?
I don't know. I think that.
I don't think it'll be the same.
I've heard they're rebooting Dr. Dolittle.
Really?
Yeah, apparently Robert Downey Jr. is in talks to do that.
Oh, fuck.
That would be like, so it's strange when you have someone else doing that character, obviously, because we've grown up with it. So Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura as a pet detective, you love, but he's also in Lemony Snicket's
A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yes, and that's been redone pretty much exactly the same, isn't it? But
On
with
Netflix,
Neil Patrick
yeah.
Harris. And I think that is he doing it justice? I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But I think that, like, you know, Jim Carrey's character in that gave me goosebumps, because he is that kind of like strange character. Yeah. So other than that, I tell you what, I got around to finishing Ant-Man, So I watched the first half on a plane journey. Didn't get to finish it. I was actually quite upset because I was enjoying it.
So this is the second Marvel film.
In 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was only half the film.
We're pulling you in. We're pulling you in.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. It was Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd film.
It was funny, wasn't it?
He's hilarious.
It was good. I like that man.
Yeah. No, it was decent. I don't know what I liked about it though, but I think it's that there wasn't this hugely. I mean, it was like a classic story, but it wasn't like a hugely powerful villain.
Yeah.
He was pretty much exactly the same as Ant-Man, wasn't he? Whereas, like, I know, like, Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot with your Avengers, the villain has just got to be, like, bigger and more followers and more powerful. But I don't often want to see that in a villain. And I mean, sometimes for the main, like, lead character, I don't often want to see them as having superpowers. I just want to see them as, like, an ordinary person or an underdog. And that, like, their villain is someone who is just, like, quite psychological, like, manipulative.
Yeah.
They don't have to have all this, like huge muscles and things like that, like Bane, obviously. But, like, you know, you can have a villain who's villainous for different reasons, and I love that.
There's a lot of... Because originally it was going to be directed by Edgar Wright, who did, like, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, things like that. I don't know if you pick up on any parts of that you probably thought actually that would be Edgar Wright. So you know, like the train chase at the end, the Thomas the Tank Engine bit, and so you know, you cuts between like being like sort of thrilling on the actual train, and then it cuts back, and you just see the little toy going round, and then like Thomas crashes. I thought it was so funny, and then Michael Peña's character when he's like, oh my god, like just 100 miles an hour, it was really funny.
That was good, yeah.
Brilliant. So what's the next Marvel film on your list that you can watch?
I don't know. Is there anything coming out in the next week?
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out soon.
Have you watched the first one?
Yeah.
You like it?
No.
No?
Oh, so you have seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
I have seen the first one, yeah.
Okay. I reckon you should watch Iron Man.
Seen it, mate. Seen that.
Seen Thor?
Huh?
Seen Thor?
No.
I think you like Thor. The first one.
Thor shit.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I like the first one. I think you like the first one.
I've been ranking the Marvel films this week.
Huh?
I've been ranking the Marvel
Have
films
you?
this week.
Yeah.
So I know we keep mentioning that we're going to do a superhero entire dedicated to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we will, and we're scheduling it for the weekend of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 release. So we're going to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2, review that, and then smash out Marvel Cinematic Universe. You got to watch Civil War if you haven't already, Ollie. Come on, man.
That's top three. Obviously, it's when like you'd rank your films differently because you like different things you like different aspects of superhero films that we do. So
But it's awesome.
yeah,
It's awesome. And that's kind of got all the characters that you kind of need to know at this current point in time, aside from Hulk. But you've also watched...
watch Thor.
Nah.
Watch Thor.
You watched Contagion this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
What is that about? I don't know if I've
So,
heard of it.
Contagion is essentially you're not really following a single character, not a standalone character, because I thought you were going to be following Matt Damon's character throughout the entire thing. It's following an epidemic. So it's a virus that turns out to be fatal, but it's global as well. So it is a big issue because they're trying to figure out the cause, and you're following the storyline of... So from different aspects, so you're following from the CDC, so the Centre and Prevention of Centre of Disease
Control.
And so you're following them, but you're also following this story of Matt Damon, but you're also following people who are working on the front line, so treating the infected and finding what caused it. And yeah, it goes from day 0 to day, when they find the cure. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Good cast. I don't think the trailer did it justice. Admittedly, I thought it was going to be quite a dull film, but it definitely made me a little bit not skeptical, but cautious about just people coughing.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way I'm going outside without a mask and gloves and a hazmat suit.
Is it like a horror film?
No.
Oh.
No.
And do they turn into zombies?
No, but when they're all like coughing and spluttering on the bus, I remembered of some of the scenes from Shaun of the Dead at the beginning.
Yeah.
It definitely reminded me of that, and I was like, oh my god, they're going to turn into zombies or something.
Okay, so Series 7 of Walking Dead has just finished.
So that is zombies.
That is zombies, although they don't ever refer to them.
Now.
No, so... Well, by the time this comes out, Season 7 would have finished.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I've just started Season 7.
Right.
So I literally smashed out 5 episodes.
So what made you get back on the train? Because when you like...
Well, because I heard that Negan's like a really good villain. So Negan's a villain of Series 7, I assume. And I've heard that it gets really good. So, because I've said before in this podcast, Series 4 was fucking diabolical. And it really put me off. And then the beginning of Series 5 was quite slow as well. But I thought, alright, I'll give it another chance, because obviously everyone's raving about it now and I want to be on that bandwagon. So I've finished watching Series 5, pretty decent. They go to this place called Alexandria. I quite like it when they're in like a set place and, you know, you can just kind of, there's a semblance of normality to their life.
Yeah.
I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah. So you think things are picking up?
Yeah, I just kind of want to see how life is in this environment. And then Series 6 is really good. So you've got the people with the W's on their head. And you know, like, again, things obviously evidently start to fall apart. And then, yeah, so because I was watching it through Now TV, and it said that on Friday I was going to watch an episode, and it said I had 7 hours to watch Series 6 before they take it off, and I was like, fuck, I've got 5 episodes left. So I literally smashed out 5 episodes in 7 hours. I finished at like 2 a.m. and it ends with them like outside all in a row, and Negan like ends up smashing one of them in the head, and
you don't know who until...
Well, that's the thing, because
7.
I'd heard spoilers, right? Because you guys have talked about it and social media and stuff. But even though I knew who it was, I watched the first episode of Series 7 yesterday, and it was so affecting. Like I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she cried because it was that distressing.
I cried.
And it made me feel quite sick. It was one of the most violent and goriest things I've ever seen, and I watched that shit. Like, I've seen a lot of horrible like films with lots of gore and stuff, but I don't know.
It wasn't just about the gore though, as well, was it? Because it was like the teasing. Like
it was
mentality.
The sadistic threat that he puts them all under, and Negan is just an absolute fucking nutcase. And I think also what made it more affecting, and credit to the writing and acting, is that you followed all of these characters and you know them really well and you like a lot of them, and then to see them all so distressed and to have like
Rick.
a member of their family, like, you know, quote unquote family killed, or 2 of them to be fair, and then so like Rick's, for 6 seasons, for 90 odd episodes, has been built up as the lead, and he's so strong and knows himself, and then Negan just rips into shreds like that. So I know you're not going to watch it, are you? But, and I know you've seen beyond this, but when he takes him into, so Negan takes Rick into the van, and then he's like throws his axe on the roof, and he's like, get my axe, and he's like, you can kill me, but I will fucking kill you. And then you know, he's like psychologically torturing him. Then he takes him back, and he's like, gets his son and puts his son on the ground, and he goes, if you don't chop your son's arm off, I'm going to kill every single one of your friends, and I'm going to make you watch. And then he's like, 3, and then Rick's like, just do me, kill me, and he's like, no, you've got to chop your son's arm off. And he's like, no, and you can see like Rick going from hard man to absolute wreck, and he goes like, okay, and he goes to chop his son's arm off, and then Negan's like, you're mine, I own you. And I was like,
credit to Carl though, because he is like, just do it, Dad, for God's sake.
I was so angry at Negan, and I was so invested. I was like, oh, you're such a cunt. I was like, I really want to kill you, please kill him. But I mean, obviously credit to the writing, but so one of the characters that gets killed has been there since episode 1, and he gets smacked on the head with this baseball bat, which is covered in barbed wire, and his eyeball pops out, and his wife, who's pregnant with his child, sees this, and he's like, and he's like gurgling because he's blood, and I was just like, And it was just really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Really hard to watch.
It was a tough start to the season.
I was like, dear me. And then
Mate,
I was like,
Game of Thrones is pretty bad as well. It's pretty brutal.
I was like, I can't go to bed on this, so I had to watch episodes of like Inside Amy Schumer just to like make myself laugh. It was jeez. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the series.
Yeah,
so how is it?
I'm up to the penultimate episode
Okay.
for the ending of season 7, so I won't give you any spoilers. But I mean, with that, do you think that you would have enjoyed that more if you didn't know what was going to happen?
No, because I was still affected by it.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I thought Glenn was the only one that dies at that point, but then when they killed Abraham,
first.
I was like, oh, maybe Glenn dies later in the series, and then boom. So I was actually still quite surprised by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of, 'cause I really want hopefully Negan dies eventually, but I hope that it is the most horrible, excruciating death ever. Because like in terms of Joffrey, right, he was class A prick, and his death was really shit. So I really want Negan's death to be really satisfactory.
Torturous.
But in terms of so the rest of the series 7, then what's it like?
Yeah, so we've been following the survivors, and they are first of all trying to cope with this new way of life where they are Negan's bitches essentially and doing everything for him. Some of them disagree. Some of them say actually this isn't a way of life because we've always stood up for defending ourselves, and so we should fight. So there's a little bit of conflict within the camp of Alexandria. But you're not just following now. You don't just follow them. There are other communities. So this isn't. So Walking Dead has kind of evolved from you follow different characters in a group. You're now following different groups in this expanding world, because I'm assuming zombies aren't really the threat anymore, or single zombies aren't, because obviously they were right at the beginning. But so we're coming up to the end of season 7, and it's going to be all out war. Which is Alexandria rising up to fight the Saviours. So I'm not going to go into any more detail, but the last episode is on tomorrow night, and if they leave it on a cliffhanger, anything like they did season 6, then yeah, it's going to be. Can't wait for season 8.
Because they said that they've got plans for the next 10 years or so, of where it's going to go. Or at least, they know where season 12's going, and then they've got ideas for the rest.
I don't know if it's going to keep going, though. So, I mean, like you said, season 4 was pretty much a whole dead season. And now they've done, the zombie, they've done the human, because the governor back in season 3, season 2, season 3. And, yeah, I mean, what's going to be next?
What I really want to
could be
see
next?
is how this outbreak has affected the rest of the world. I want to see how what it's like in the UK or just anywhere across the world.
Picture 28 days later.
Well, yeah, just because we're just confined within Georgia, the state of Georgia at this point. And there's a part where I don't know if you remember when Carol and Maggie get captured by the ginger lady, and they're in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And ginger lady says that she was working in DC, and they got all the important people out first. I was like, there must be some sort of government, still intact.
Well, the military are, so...
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see some form of exploration of why the outbreak started, because that...
If you want that, then go to check out Fear of the Walking Dead, because that is a prequel, but by the end of the first season, it is the first episode of The Walking Dead, and you kind of that. Didn't really do it justice.
Okay.
But if you're really getting into your Walking Dead, check out Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah, but I just want to see more of the mythology. There's got to be some sort of government. What are they doing? Are they trying to find a cure? How did this start? What's happening around the world?
How funny would that be though if everywhere else was not affected? It was just this one state, poor everyone just fighting, thinking it is literally fight for survival. Everyone else is just chilling out.
So I'm looking forward to watching Series 7. Does it get any more brutal than the first episode?
I don't think it can, but no, mate, you'll be alright.
Okay, and then the big thing that's coming this week. Sit down next to me. Oh, sit down. The trailer for Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
fucking hell, I was thinking like, what?
Do you not listen to the music, man?
Not really, no.
Fucking hell, that was such a good tune. I want to try and add that to our Spotify playlist.
How's that going?
It's gone alright.
Yeah? Good.
Yeah. I'll keep adding stuff to it.
Alright, I need to
Yeah.
get Spotify.
Game of Thrones. Another teaser trailer. Awesome soundtrack.
Ollie, have you seen it?
I have
Yeah?
Khaleesi, Cersei, Jon Snow.
Walker.
Walker, yeah. It was good. I like, obviously, like, that's a trailer that obviously didn't give away anything. But it's just like nice seeing these faces again. To be honest,
Yeah.
after a year away.
We've still got like
When's it
3
back?
months. It's like July.
July. Oh.
I'm like, I missed
I
you
can't-
so much.
I cannot wait to talk about Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Like weekly.
Literally, I think I might cry.
Yeah, me too.
I really want to watch the whole of them again and reread them all.
So, what do we get? What do you think that trailer is leading to?
Well,
Assuming.
I think it
Well,
was...
can I say at the end of it? So Cersei's breathing and it's like
Cold.
frost,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Mm.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with what you guys have thoughts on, but like if the Walker is looking at King's Landing.
Mm.
Well, because he
I
can
don't know.
see... So when Bran does his thing, he's now connected somehow to the chief White Walker, isn't he? Because they could see one another.
No,
Is that right? Because
No.
doesn't he...
Yeah,
In Series 6,
I
like-
touched him. I thought
Yeah.
I'll touch him so he know that he can like always find him. Sort of thing.
Yeah, but then... Because Bran can see future and past and
Yeah.
stuff. So if Bran can somehow see what's happening in King's Landing, then surely the White Walkers can. No?
True.
Yeah.
I think Series 7 is going to be a struggle for the throne, but
Yeah.
I think it must be just between Cersei...
Yeah, because Jon Snow didn't actually get on.
Johnson. Yeah.
He didn't get on the throne, did he?
And there's also that part in Series 2 when Khaleesi goes into that tower in Marine and she then walks into the throne room, doesn't she, and sits down. But it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's only going to be like 8 episodes or 7
I
or
know.
however many we...
And then
Oh
do it
god, I
again.
know. I didn't even think about that. Oh man.
It's going to be over so quickly.
Who's dying?
Cersei.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Cersei's
I
going to
think
die.
Sansa's dying. I don't want it to, but I think she will.
I kind of want her
She's a bad bee.
to. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, it's WrestleMania Day this weekend, isn't it?
It is. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been into my wrestling for probably since like 2006, 2007. But before that,
That's a decade, mate. You're so old.
I'm so behind, honestly. But from the ages of probably about, I don't know, 8 to, or maybe 7 to 12, like I was so ridiculously into wrestling. Like I'm really into like football now. Like before I was into football, wrestling was my football.
But that was when wrestling was decent.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So like,
Wrestling.
I've tried to watch. So like, sometimes on Sky One, there's like Monday Night Raw or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'll have a watch, and then some like steroid pumped up twat comes into the ring and just starts goading people.
Yeah.
There's no actual
It's-
wrestling.
yeah.
Like they just he stands there and does some like stupid soliloquy, and then maybe
They used to be good though, but they're only good when people with charisma do them.
yeah.
The people they got now haven't got any
But
charisma.
where's the fighting, man? Like they have like a 2-minute.
They're not allowed to. It's too PG now. They're not allowed to do anything. Like, I think before like 2007, 2008. Now they're not allowed to. I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to show blood on.
I want the
WWE.
Undertaker to throw pins on the floor and throw Kane down.
Innit?
And
That's what I mean. It's Mick Foley, innit? And they had
it was
Mick
this
Foley off
soft
the thing. Yeah, yes.
puppet.
What was his name? Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack? I don't know. But yeah, Mick Foley had like 3 different personalities.
and they'd go under the ring and they'd get a chair and they'd smack.
There was I was talking about this yesterday on Xbox. So I was reminiscing about you know Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
So Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy were like partners, and then Lita came, the woman, and they were like a trio for
Was
ages.
Lita the one who was Booker T's wife?
No,
Oh.
that was what was her name? Her name was like Cheryl or something.
Oh right.
But I got a story about that as well. Actually,
Okay.
remind me about that because that was a good storyline too. But this was a really good storyline. We need to talk about Mickey James as well. Trish Stratus. Okay, but back to Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. So I don't know if you remember, but Lita came and then they were like a trio, and Matt Hardy and Lita were like going out sort of thing, and then Kane comes along, and fucks up everything basically, and fucked up them too, and basically took Lita for like a prisoner. And then him and Lita got married. Lita got pregnant, and Lita got pregnant, and then Matt Hardy was like all in his feelings, obviously because he's got his girl. I don't know if they were going in real life actually. I'm not sure, but they might have been. But so obviously they had beef for ages, and then Gene, I think his name was Gene Snitsky, came, and he was a fucking psychopath, and basically he, I think he like punched Lita or something like that, and knocked her on the floor, and she lost her baby, and then he got a chair. This is in like a different few weeks or few months later. Got a chair, put it on her neck in her like a fold-up chair, folded it so her neck was on the thing, and then jumped off the ring, and boom, walloped the chair so the thing whacked her neck, and then there was blood everywhere. I might be getting Lita confused with he might have done that to Kane. I'm not sure, but I just remember watching that, and if you take them, there was obviously a coughing up blood and everywhere. You will never see that on WWE today ever. And
was that back when Kane had a mask?
No, that was shortly after Kane had a mask.
Who is that? I'm gonna look that up right now. I want to watch that.
It was Lita, Gene I think his name is Gene Snitsky.
Gene Snitsky. So he's the one who jumps off the.
I think so, yeah. Or I might be getting my people mixed up. I'm pretty sure it's them too.
And then they also there's a storyline when Undertaker was actually buried alive or something.
Yeah.
Mate, it's such a good storyline.
It was so good, and so there was also a storyline where Booker T. This is where Booker T and his wife, they were like the duo, and Booker T was in a fucking slump. So what would happen was when Booker T's back was turned, his wife would get in the ring and like knock someone over the head or something like that, and Booker T would obviously he knew about it, but he would turn around, act like he didn't know about it, and then just pin him and then they win. And she tried to do it to Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle was like, it got very rapey. Like the scenes got very very rapey, and so then Kurt Angle and Booker T had a thingy-majiggy for ages, and there was a scene where Booker T went out of his change room and his wife was still in there, and then Kurt Angle comes into the room and the door closes and you don't really know what's happened, don't know if someone's been assaulted or whatever. And it's like you literally you can't do that now.
Nah.
You can't.
What was your favourite event type? So you had obviously...
can I just quickly, it's really really sad now that I am of an age where wrestling is not really my thing anymore, because now I'm old enough to stay up and watch pay-per-views. Obviously back then I couldn't watch it either. It's really annoying, because there would be even Monday Night Raw was on quite late. I think it might have been on a repeat. It was on at 9 PM or something like that. And even I couldn't stay up to watch that. I couldn't stay up to watch any of the pay-per-views because they were on they started at 12. And I was so gutted at that time. Obviously now I'm old enough to watch them and they're all fucking shit now.
Yeah. But in terms of the events, I'll probably won't be able to name them all, but obviously you've got WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Then you've got Royal Rumble.
It's in January, yeah.
That's the one where they're all in, they just get thrown out.
In the ring, yeah.
So what's WrestleMania then?
WrestleMania. So the person who wins the Royal Rumble gets a title challenge at WrestleMania. So Royal Rumble is just the thing they do in January. WrestleMania is the main event.
Is that just two people fighting?
No, WrestleMania is it's Kane. That's it. WrestleMania is
So Ollie's just got the video up of
it's Kane, not Lee.
Kane, not
Is it
Lee.
Matt Hardy he's trying to do?
No.
That is pretty.
That's pretty gruesome. Oh my god, he's bleeding out.
Yeah.
See, you couldn't ever have that happen.
Who is that? Is that Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, Shawn Michaels.
Oh.
So this is Kane jumping on Shawn Michaels. The referee's just yellow card, mate.
There's 4 referees and they're all afraid to get into the ring.
Yeah, so what happens in WrestleMania then?
So WrestleMania is the main event. Everything all the basically what they do is they'll start feuds, the face and heel thing, all that stuff. I think face is the good people and heel's the bad people. But everyone will have their own storylines, and normally they'll come to a conclusion at WrestleMania. So they'll get title challenges. I'm pretty sure the Mickey James and Trish Stratus thing, I'm pretty sure that ended at WrestleMania with Mickey James.
Is this SmackDown and Raw?
It's SmackDown and Raw, yeah.
And then even WCW or something.
WCW actually turned into WWE. Because it was kind of going concurrent with WWF.
Okay.
Then Vince McMahon bought WCW and kind of moulded it into.
Okay, so you got WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. The other two I can think of off the bat are Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank happens at WrestleMania.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
Because that's the one where they have
on
the
the
money
ladder. Yeah, they introduced that like quite a bit after WrestleMania actually started. Oh yeah.
And
yeah, sorry.
And then also the other one I can think of is the cage match.
Yeah, cage match will just happen at any. There was Hell in a Cell.
What was that one then?
I think that happened in like February. But like basically it's just a fat cage and you got to fight in it, and I think you can climb to the top of it.
Is that one? So is it? Yeah, is that one where you got to climb out to sort of get victory?
Yeah.
So my favourite was always Money in the Bank because they're trying to get a suitcase from the ceiling, and they're all like getting ladders climbing up, and then someone would knock the ladder down.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's I think it was the first Money in the Bank, and it was like a triple threat match. It was Edge. I can't remember. It was Edge versus someone. I can't remember who the other two people were. And basically, someone's at the top on the ladder, and they're like they hold onto the ladder. Someone on the floor knocks the ladder from underneath them, so they're just hanging onto the briefcase while swinging in the air. And then Edge is on this ladder, and he just jumps on his ladder and spears the guy onto the mat. It was so good. Oh my gosh!
So I used to have a toy wrestling ring with toy wrestlers, and like I'd love like fake bins and ladders and shit that I just.
Oh man, wrestling was so good
back in the day. They need to revive that, man.
Gosh, because there was so much controversy around it. Like so many wrestlers have like died from either like steroid overdoses or too many concussions. Like,
yeah, but I'm sure they're still getting concussed and still doing steroids.
True.
Like if they can show a character in The Walking Dead's eye pop out, like in that level of gore, then they can bring back blood.
Yeah.
You know, they just need to make it interesting.
It's a shame though. Who was your favourite wrestler?
Rey Mysterio. 619, mate. That's the sickest finishing move.
Probably top three for me.
I can't believe people like John Cena and Randy Orton are still going.
Well, apparently people don't like John Cena anymore.
Really?
That's what Dan was telling me. Apparently, because he's not a good wrestler or something.
Can't see him.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. He was my favourite.
What about
at the time?
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock? He is in everything now.
When I started watching wrestling, actually, that was when he kind of like quit to do like acting and stuff,
really?
and then he kind of came back as I stopped watching it.
He's got so much more hench since he's an actor.
He's wham! Oh goodness! Every film I see him in, he's even bigger.
He's evolved into Onyx.
Honestly, he's going to become a stone.
So, he's been in the trailer for Fast and Furious 8. Have you guys seen?
That looks so good.
It looks quite good, doesn't it? I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious.
I'm pretty sure we've seen all of the action pieces. Though. That was the thing with Ghost in the Shell. Like all of the parts in the trailer are just the best action scenes. It just kind of ruins it. But I'm still gonna watch it. It's gonna be awesome.
It looks pretty cool. I think.
Fast and Furious 7.
I might watch the other ones just to
They're sick,
catch up.
Any other trailers that you guys have seen this week apart from Inconvenience?
Yeah, so when I went to see Ghost in the Shell, there was a trailer for, I think it was called Valerian, or however you say it. I don't know if either of you guys have seen it. So it is. What's the actress who played the baddie in Suicide Squad?
Cara Delevingne.
So it's her and this other guy. Forgive me, I don't know his name. And it's like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's kind of like that, but in a more. It's kind of got a bit cartoony. So it's just following this story that, or what I got from the trailer is that they are like either con artists or assassin agents, and they get called upon. Because they have this like space society of all different planets, and there's this like huge city essentially, and that's about to get destroyed or is under threat from some assailant, and that they call upon them, which I think out of 1,000 planets and all like this technology, why would you call on 2 humans?
Because the humans are the best.
So yeah, I don't know what to think of that. I'd say to you guys, check out the trailer and then give me your opinions next week.
Okay.
See what
I've not really heard of it.
No, me neither.
Sci-fi can't go too wrong. Actually, yes, you definitely can.
Good change.
Yeah. Well, what else? What's out next week? What are we going to be talking about next week?
No idea.
So I'm gonna go see Free Fire.
Free Fire, yes, we'll talk about Free Fire next week. We're also going to talk a little bit next week about reality TV shows because
Oh no.
guilty pleasures.
That's my guilty pleasure.
And then Obi, you're going to be doing the from the archive.
Oh yeah.
So do you know what you're going to be talking about yet?
I don't know. Does it have to be filmed? Can it be TV show?
Be filmed? Can it be
Might be a
TV?
TV show, I think.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. So tune in next week for Obi's from the archive and
Lord of the
discussion
Rings
on.
Helm's Deep. 2 Towers review.
No.
And we'll talk also about Free Fire reality TV shows and what else we smash out watching this week. You hopefully would have finished Walking Dead, so you can give us a non-spoilerific review, unless I somehow managed to watch the entirety of Series 7. So thank you so much for listening. If you've got any comments or feedback or anything that you'd like us to cover in future from the archives, or even just in general, please do follow us on Twitter at YAC Podcast 17, or mention us on Facebook at Your Average Critics. Tune in next week. Bye-bye.